3, I will call the meeting to order. May I have roll call, please?
Mr. Trader, Mrs. Schatzinger.
Here.
Mr. Hanson.
Here.
Mr. Gallo.
Here.
Mrs. King.
Here.
Mr. Wirtz. Here.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have a moment of silence. All right. Thank you. Tonight's agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved by Paige, seconded by John. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the approved. There is no public comment tonight. Next item is to accept the informal reports from standing committees and
So moved.
Second.
moved by Dave, seconded by Paige. Any discussion? Approving the informal reports, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those are approved. Next up is the consent. And published.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Been moved by Howard, seconded by John. Any discussion? In favor of approving the consent calendar, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved. Moving right into our action items. Considering the request for cruising, while scooping the loop, this has been put forward by Ripon Main Street. Saturday, August 7th. In the packet here, the description of the route is the find it here. The event would be p.m. till 8 p.m. on the traditional route going down Watson Street and then looping around East Fond du Lac to Seward. Is there any discussion on this item? Jim?
Just the chief, any issues, anything you want to bring up?
You'll notice that the hours are changed this year versus the years past. I think in years past it went till 9 o'clock, so on Main Street in reference to this event after the events of last year. So he cut an hour off from the, like the later the event went, that's when we started to have more problems. Additionally, during our discussion, we will have additional officers on, 2 additional officers on that evening. So I'm comfortable based on my discussions with Mr. T-Bond that we're moving in the right direction.
Or was that just talked about?
I think it might have been the first year that he tried to do that, and they reverted back to the traditional, yeah.
I
Yeah,
apologize. I knew
no,
about
no,
it,
yep,
but you have no contention and any issues with it?
no.
Did I? Event?
Second.
Moved by Jim, seconded by Howard. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the request to do the Scoop the Loop cruising event on August 7th, say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Next item is a payment request for the Vermont Street Parkway Terrace project. Adam?
So this is submitted by James Peterson and Sons for $27,619.83. Mike is here. I think they had their first construction project. I think the progress in the project is going well. And this is just the first payment. We'll be here obviously with probably monthly, so this is just the first one. And we are establishing interim financing while we wait for our Clean Water Fund and Safe Drinking Water Loan program funding to come through. So this is just the first one, and Mike can speak to the project if anybody has any questions about the progress.
I could just make a couple comments on it. The meeting today, everything that we met on seemed to be going fine. The contractor planned on starting, and they did actually start on that. So they're starting to put in the sewer lines right in front of the laundromat there area. Seems to be progressing. Talked about complaints. There were some initial concerns up front. I think MSA had about a dozen and trees that were being removed, and those seem to be resolved for that. So,
What you mean by access?
that access to get in and out. So what we did is we got 3 access points, one on the south side, Rainbow Body Shop, and then we came to agreement with Heritage Vapor or to access through and onto their property, and that significantly helped people to be able to get in and out. And it's moving forward.
What is the expected completion date, Mike?
Probably about November.
November?
Mm-hmm.
And just for the benefit of the council, this is on to approve the pay request. Historically, we have not. However, I'm very comfortable in other communities. They do this regularly, and it gives an opportunity for the citizens and for the council to understand the progress. Make sure that we're on target with the contract. So this will be coming before you in a little different fashion than it has historically for those that have been in the council. I'll make a motion to approve the payment.
I'll second.
Moved by David, seconded by
I'll just say, it seems like no one has red flags, right? Correct, everyone is shaking their head.
All right. For approving this payment request, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That is approved. Before moving on to our third action item, I would like to council our new EMS chief, Mitch. I won't try to pronounce your last name. I'll let you do that yourself. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, Madishes. A few of you I know from seeing you around here, but formally have not met everyone. So, Mitch Madishes. Nice to meet you all.
All right. So the third item here is the Ripon Guardian Ambulance Service Consulting, Strategic Management and Consulting. If you'd like to give an overview of what that entails and the purpose for that.
The purpose, I guess the overview of the consulting ask is that we essentially get a vision for the future of Ripon Guardian. Yes, and we're not alone in this, is rapidly changing our demographic. Our call volume is increasing rapidly. In the last 6 years, and we haven't done a lot to change, to be honest, in those years. But I think we need some guidance, and Strategic Management and Consulting is the firm that we chose to help us along with that journey. Dan Williams, the Strategic Management, is he's an EMS legend, I would say, in Wisconsin. If you've been in EMS any amount of time, you know Dan Williams. His extensive, a lot of work, public, private sector. So we feel that now is a good time to get these plans in place. If you read through the packet, there's a number of different points that we're going to touch on with this audit and consultation. Help a plan, we'll have that for future staffing as well. So, Adam, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, definitely. So, when, obviously there's been some transition within the city as well as with Mitch's, and coming into it and just kind of reviewing the overall operations of the ambulance. There's certainly some areas where we need, and we felt that bringing some outside help in was the appropriate solution, because we do have limited staff. There are only essentially one, and then Karen Engel,
Right.
working day to day along with the number of EMTs and paramedics. So was a former state of Wisconsin EMS chief and ran Door County EMS for many, many years, and has extensive experience coming into their EMS services and making significant recommendations to improve them. This is not a traditional type of agreement, we will say. When we contacted Dan and we kind of went back and forth on what the needs were, we really said, as a report, if somebody comes in and does a study of a department or a city, the EMT, in this case EMT and ambulance department, report that says you need to do all this stuff, that doesn't really help, address the challenges. It just lists them and then says to, in this relationship, it's really bringing in a very knowledgeable EMS professional to work department to, in live time or in the next 6 months, address those issues. So if there's a policy that needs to be updated, we implement it, okay? He will look at billing. There are concerns about billing compliance because of a 2018 Medicare audit. We just want to make sure we're ahead of this, because if there are other things that come up, reporting those financially is important. We are overbilling for Medicaid or Medicare. We may not know that right now, but we would much rather know and pay it back than know or then get caught. So we're trying to get ahead of a lot of challenges from a billing and compliance standpoint, as well as then the time that Mitch spends with Karen on billing doesn't allow for other things to get done. So there are challenges with staffing, with facilities. Setting up a plan for the future and getting ahead of some of these things instead of coming to you in 2-3 years when there's a big issue. That's what we're trying to. Not only Mitch as a new EMS director up for success and investing in him and his education through this partnership, but the EMS department. We don't think there's massive issues, but we don't know until we have someone like this come in and look at what we are doing at a comprehensive. And so that's why we brought it forward. We felt that it's time. I mean, from the city's perspective, we do an annual financial audit. The water department, in a couple weeks here, we will have a master plan report for you. So this is not dissimilar to what we do in other aspects of the city. Just with the new leadership and administration, we felt bringing in this individual would definitely be a benefit. And quite frankly, providing solutions and freeing up our full-time staff to start really addressing the real concern, recruitment and just sustainable department operations.
Yeah, and I think it's, again, just to stress too, that this isn't, there's not some big crisis in the EMS department. This is simply to stay ahead of the curve. We see it coming, you know, it's trending all over. Staffing issue. I mean, you know, it used to be hard to find a full-time job as an EMS provider. You know, now, you know, they'll take you, you walk in the door and it has changed in just 10 years. And this doesn't reflect poorly on past, you know, management of EMS. We just have, and we feel that right now is the right time to do this.
And just from the perspective of call volume, I mean, I think Mitch mentioned to me today,
Yeah.
you know, when we were at maybe 1,000 calls, we're on pace to do 1,900 calls this year, 1,800 calls.
Yeah.
You know, we've doubled, and we've done very little in terms of wise or operations wise to handle that volume. And so, and in terms of paying for this, we are already into the year $90,000 ahead in our EMS budget. So there are areas we can pull it from, and I certainly think that it's an appropriate expenditure. You know, quite frankly, the call volume is bringing in more cash than we're spending too. So we are covered. It is an unbudgeted expense, but to get ahead of it, like Mitch said, then wait and surprise somebody with something later.
Any questions? Dave?
Is this twice a week?
Yes, Dan himself will be, yep. Dan works with a partner, Dana Seckler. From my understanding, Dana, you know, they collaborate on he has more of a fire background as well, so he does more with the fire departments and that kind of thing. Dan, as far as I know, has worked strictly in EMS his entire. As Dana if he needs him for anything, but it sounds like we'll just be seeing Dan here.
John?
It's 4,000 per month, then it is?
Yep, so we're looking at approximately $4,000 per month. That would be the maximum. We've already, you know, if this gets approved, we'll start working on the schedule. And if there's a week that somebody can't make it, or it's not coming 2 days a week or whatever, the bill will be lower than that. So everything wrapped up in 6 months or shorter. It just depends on sort of how much they dig into and what level of comfort. You know, I think we're in a good spot, and then at the end of it too, we have requested that Dan come back and meet a comprehensive, like, here's what we did report versus here's what you need to do report.
Yep, sums it up.
I'm really impressed with by you bringing this to us, because I think it clearly communicates that you take the health and safety of our community very seriously as a new. It obviously sounds like you are 100% behind this.
Absolutely, yeah. It was a collaboration between me and Ed. This wasn't we should do this. We talked over, you know, we've been talking really since he was hired, you know, and this has kind of come from those, you know, 10, 15-minute things, and it just so worked out that, you know, we were on the same page with this, and that's, you know, that's how this happened. So it was perfect timing, really.
For a very long time. So I do see this as a way to support you, your leadership, the whole department, and, you know, again, hopefully we'll be able to keep you for a very.
The plan. That's the plan.
My question is, do you have any insight that you can provide as to why call volume has increased so significantly?
Well, since 2016, we became paramedics. So the big drive was the added interfacility transfers. So we did transfers before that. We couldn't take ALS level, cardiac monitoring, that kind of thing. They were real basic level. So that was a huge increase just by almost 200 calls right off the bat that they increased. And, none of you are that old in here, but the baby boomers are getting.
Yes, I was just thinking that is fine.
None of you would know anything about that, but yeah, no problem.
We're going to be around a long.
Honestly, the demographic, our population is aging, and we saw this coming. I remember it being talked about. I've been in EMS, since I was a senior. I'm 36, so it was talked about, but it's coming. Well, it's here, and a lot of us, it just didn't get prepared for it. It's not anybody's fault. It just happened. So that's one of the huge reasons for the biggest reason for increase, I would say.
I think we all learned a lot more about especially our EMS service during transitioning to Fond du Lac County, and where the challenges and maybe our, the weak chinks in the armor. I think this is a great time to do this. I think that, if we don't do it now, then we are, are we going to continue to push it back like we are with outdated, technology and stuff? So I think, and just seeing here, like, due to the uniqueness of your situation, I think service is so different here in Ripon, the way it's done. So just knowing that this is something that's going to be so specifically catered to I think it's a great time to do it, I think.
Yeah, and it is really unique too. I am aware of many municipalities who've used Dan and Dana. To take this approach is very different than what they normally do, and that will 100% be in our benefit.
Yeah, thank you.
Basically, this contract, we're locked in till the end of the year, and then both sides, if they agree and we need to go farther, then we'll keep the end of the year.
Yep, I think that's the sooner we can get to work on it, the sooner we'll kind of know how long it needs to go, but 6 months is kind of the first enough. It could be 2, it could be 4, and then, hopefully by then, the beginning of next year, we'll come with, and if we need to do a couple extra things, we'll talk about it then, but I think, honestly, if we get this in place, issues, I think Dan's the type of guy that would, continue to work with us, after this without straight saying another $4,000 because I was here for that month for 2 days. I think he kind of understands the situation and really wants to just kind of dig in. I think is the goal. So.
I'll second it.
Moved by David, seconded by Jolene. Jim?
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Oh, it's got a vote.
December 31st as a expected completion date, so if it was going to go beyond that, we'd have to come back to us for approval.
Yep, that's the way it's written, and throwing out there the possibility by the end of the year there may be a reason to come back to the council and say he's going to stay on or he's going to finish up in the month. So, yes, so this is a correct, Adam, is that the way it's written?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jolene?
I think it seems fairly obvious that with the agreement includes a report back to the council after the 6 month consultation time, would it be?
Add that to the motion.
So I can make,
A friendly amendment to the motion to add
Yes,
that.
I will agree to
A
that.
report or a summary, as to the progress that has been made and those tasks that have been completed.
And I'll just add that if something comes up, if something like ugly, you know, ahead of that end period. So, I mean, it's just, you know, I think Mitch and I kind of talked about either in his reports as well, kind of providing in some of his reporting to the council, just to give you progress along the way. So,
It's in section 7 of the agreement already that he will participate on request from the city administrator to city committees, council, etc.
Perfect.
So it's already in the contract. I don't think we need to specify that personally.
We'll leave out the friendly amendment. Basically says on request he will come.
yes.
Thank you. Motion.
Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all those in favor of strategic management consulting, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? As approved. Thank you. And thank you, Mitch. Yeah. All right, so head project. There we go. Adam, you've got a nice little presentation for us.
hopefully. All right, so after the workshop, MSA, myself, and staff started to continue to push along some ideas and just some of the feedback and whatnot that we had from the workshop to continue to talk that is happening within this project. So from a standpoint of tonight, there's a handout. We really need to, at the bare minimum, and general scope of the senior center trailhead project, general budget, and then there's some, you know, project that have been developed and talked through with MSA and kind of comes together on this front page. So, and shortly is purely because of grant compliance and making sure we stay on our timeline. If we continue to push out into August, we get dangerously close to having to say, we cannot accept the CDBG public facilities grant because we can't keep up our end. Because MSA and the city have to continue to push this because this is just schematic design at this point. This is just general big, and we still have to get to the minor things, you know, like specifics within this project, and that can't be necessarily rushed. We need to do public input sessions, and we want to take this to the public with it being a little bit more developed. It is, what are we doing, on and on and on. So from a general standpoint, what we have talked about, if you have all a copy of this too, here, this is on page 3 here. This is the general view of location C. Okay? Location. Okay? There were 2 other locations looked at in the park, but the effort in looking at design because of some of these extra things. Okay? As you can see here, there have been some minor changes to this plan. There is a driveway that has been moved to the intersection of Elizabeth Murray Park Drive, and then, or whatever it You look at that, and then, so that kind of, that still has to be a little bit further developed, but MSA was like, we kind of a desire to keep that closer to that. There's obviously a widening of the roadway here, an approximate 35, and then the senior center, which was the same footprint as the previous one. I believe, I don't have the specifics on that was discussed last time. So there's been no change in the general floor plan, anything like that. So this is sort of, and basically further developing the park. Okay, so this is kind of a little bit more of a comprehensive view of all the disc golf course holes, all the other amenities, and some additional work for future park trails, sidewalks, things of that nature. Generally speaking, you know, obviously the big project here and the priority is building the building. And then there's some secondary opportunities to add things to the overall park plan. What we are essentially doing while placing this building is master planning this park. Connect the dots, whether it be for a upcoming project or a project in the near future or the future. So these are used, what investments we have to make, and just connecting the pieces to the puzzle. So in this case, you know, connect to the ball diamonds and connecting a trail to the existing trail, okay? As you further develop that, you get to project scope that is a little more detailed and has some more stuff. Scope that is a little more detailed and has some more stuff. So obviously by creating location C, if that is the desired location, disc golf course, okay? We have identified areas in which you could replace the disc golf course or place the disc golf course on space that is currently underutilized or we have no plans to utilize. So we've kind of mapped that places right in the middle of the park, as well as over in this section where there are some trees and no plans that I'm aware of to use anything. And generally speaking, if this is the location, 2 disc golf course holes will have to be completely moved. But there is room within the park to place it. You then look at the goal of taking the trail in grant, because essentially this is going to cost about the same amount of money whether we get the grant for the trail or not. We are going to be looking at around $700,000 regardless of it. We're essentially getting the trail for free. So that is coming in to the trailhead facility and the parking lot right here. Then is to expand the trail network, as I talked about, within the park to go toward the ball diamonds and to go toward the existing trail. Improve the to Layton Drive to therefore connect down Layton and a couple other streets down there to get to the Northwestern. It is that works for the time being, and truly then can connect this and make it accessible by the Northwestern as well. The additional work at the park that we are looking at are future bleacher shade structures, future dugout structure replacement in this project as well. Okay, it's a little bit more ambitious than just a senior center and a trailhead, but in planning this out and looking at the grand scheme was we want to maximize dollars, maximize grant dollars, maximize relationships, and get as much and address, you know, deficiencies and needs. There is a need to add more trails within our community. I think there's a desire for that. I've heard that. This facility and the condition of the quads, we need to start looking at addressing some of these things. So, you know, granted, this is a location and scope of that is important. I also think there is an opportunity to take a bigger view of the overall project and forward doing more so that it touches more aspects of the community. This plan, it touches every to old, okay, and families to anybody, and it puts money into a park that and it lays the blueprint for, I think, the standard we need to set in the future for other planning efforts and parks. Speaking, this is what we've been working on from a global concept. Ultimately, we would like buy-in for this type of plan. Continue to work toward developing past schematic designs and working on agreements to help fund this stuff. For example, met today with the Ripon Youth Baseball Softball Club and Diamond Booster Club. They are 100% in support, and they are 100% in support of fundraising to improve the ball diamonds in collaboration with this project and this plan. So this really is a community, I think, when you look at it, and brings a lot of people to the table. So the commitment the city needs to bring to it, what we're looking for tonight. In terms of, I will turn it over to Noreen is here. I think she would like to speak on behalf of the Senior Center and what she's been hearing and kind of give her thoughts regarding the location and overall scope of the project.
The director of the Senior Center, and I think I've reached out to all of you. So, first of all, thank you. So, are also excited about having something that's cross-generational. And as a Senior Center director with a, so this is great. So when I speak to the seniors and point out the benefits of Site C, the trail in the back there, and then fix up the baseball fields, and then have access for them to park up front and take that trail down to the baseball fields to watch their grandchildren or great-grandchildren play. They like that. They like that. And that also kind of helps one of the issues that was brought up back in 2019 with the parking and trying to get through there. So that solves that. For a senior center, just where the seniors can be, we're looking for a place that the community can use. So from 9 to 3 or 4 in the Senior Center, and it can be available to community members to rent out for bridal showers or, I don't know, parties for the use it. And that funding for the renting goes back to you, just like the renting of pavilions. I'm really excited about teacher at Murray Park School. When there's parent-teacher conferences, when there are concerts, any event that goes, no parking around to be seen, this adds 35 more spots, not only for the school, for baseball, also for fireworks, being like a handicapped accessible one for fireworks. But anyway, the Senior Center presently, we have 1015 that has the volunteer desk and my little cubby office storage space. And then another room that's 8. Isn't this kind of small? Well, it's smaller than we hoped for at the beginning, but it also gives us a larger space to work within than we have, so footage, but more usable space. Let's see, so we just look forward to a better place for Ripon that brings people into Ripon, makes them remember Ripon. When they come to the baseball games, they'll look up and see a beautiful building. Yeah, I guess that's it. So thank you for your support. And
For the record, just say, what is the name of your...
the one we have at the moment?
Yeah.
The Ripon Senior Activity Center.
I think it's clear that that terminology meaning of this.
Yeah, so then it would be the, I can't ever remember if it's Lloyd and Grace or Grace and Lloyd, but Senior Activity Center.
So nothing about the actual size, we're looking at around 3,600, 3,700 square feet. We did out internally after the meeting about some of the additional thoughts of putting in a basement, walk out this, and to keep this on budget and focused on really a realistic number. This is sort of where we've landed, is at around that size, one-story building. This blueprint, which I'm sorry I do not have a copy of, but the internal structure of that can change. This is purely schematic. Location and budget is kind of what we're getting at. In terms of funding, I provided you a kind of breakdown here. So when we look at the overall, you're looking at around just over $2 million. There is $200,000 of padding and contingency, construction contingency in that budget. There are additional improvements that we're looking at doing, including trails to ball diamonds, dugout replacements, bleacher improvements, trail rehab, disc golf course relocation. We look at the funding estimates. We have $600,000 in donations in the bank. We have a $552,000 DNR stewardship grant. That'll be approximately $200,000. I've then put in donations that I've had communication with all of these clubs about donations, Kiwanis Club donations, and then baseball club funding, which today they said they would be happy to, if we raise $50,000 and match it $1 to $1 to make improvements to the ball diamond to try to get to a $100,000 project at the ball diamond. So the funding scenario, $30,000. We could do construction financing to help fund this. The city's original plan was to borrow and $25,000 to do the project. We do have American Rescue Plan Act funds that in some of the preliminary allocations, we have funds directly for Murray Park, including for ball diamond improvements, senior center build out, trail extensions, all of those things were in that request. Of approximately $250,000 going toward this project, leaving a balance of still $570,000 of rescue plan funds to use for other projects. So how do we fund it? There's a few situations that we could look at, but at the end, a mix, the bottom line, flexibility will be key. Work toward other funding, fundraising goals and other funds are received. But generally speaking, we could take approximately $600,000. So that's $75,000 more than what we were, saving on the Vermont Parkway and Vermont Street Parkway Terrace project. Time and then match the rest with rescue plan and other city cash. We could advance internally and borrow over 5 years, or borrow the full amount and reduce cash $20,000 for 5 years. So there are ways to get this done, between using our planned capital improvement in cash and rescue plan. We could pay for it all with cash as well. And I don't think that's the direction we should go, but it is definitely an option because we have more money in the bank from rescue plans alone. I don't, like I said, recommend that. Flexibility will be key, but there is a way to do this all, and I think is clearly the priority. But I think to make this a fully winning project for the community, adding these other things in and prioritizing them makes a lot of sense along with this project and try to accomplish it within the next 2 years.
In terms of that funding, has there been any?
To reach out to the county, but we'll be doing so. Today was meeting with the ball club, and like I said, they have support this 100%, and so, you know, that's just one part of it. I'll reach out to the county and hopefully the portion of the funds for the trailhead and because I don't think they'll get into funding the senior center. I think the ask will be at the county level to see if they will the bike trail improvements. So I will reach out to them as well. But those are the unknown things that we don't even necessarily have. I can say this is what we're doing, or this is what we have buy-in for. I know this is more than just the senior center and the trailhead, a little bit of extra stuff, but getting the approval to continue to work on this is sort of what we're looking at, and obviously, like I said, priority and then Ball Diamond would be last, but I think there's enough flexibility to do a lot of improvement up there, change the general just entire feel and vibe of the park in a significant way.
Thank you, Adam.
Yeah.
John?
First, I'd like to say every phone call I got, and I did receive an email, proposal, C. Second, I have a question for Howie. That trail goes to Park Drive, or down towards the ball diamonds?
The one that's there right now,
Well, the one that's proposed for
the future trail
Yeah,
coming from up,
no, the one coming from the new.
the new facility and going along
It's
the
gonna parallel.
south edge of the ball field.
Yeah. Isn't that where most people park? Is that gonna be a problem?
For the, they usually park on the lower level or on the east.
On the east side, okay.
You're correct, John.
Yeah. Down, they like,
They do pull off that ledge and onto the, been a concern from my mowing guy.
for years.
As they back up, they spin their tires and
Yep.
cause some problems there too. So, but you're right, I've seen that whole area line. When we get when we get a big event in there, yeah.
Okay.
So what you're saying is correct.
It'll eliminate that parking up there with the bike there on that ledge by disc golf hole 3.
And just,
Well, yeah.
That's the area that you're concerned
about.
Yeah.
Would it be something, I don't know what the trail's gonna be made out of, but is it something that a car can drive on?
yeah, it will be a minimum 10-foot trail based on DNR
Right.
standard.
Okay, gotcha.
So, and the goal here eventually would be to widen this street up. But that is another project down the road that, yes, you know, when we look at, you know, expanding that road out and creating more parking there, but we hope some of these 35 the 40 stalls that are being putting in can offset some of that
And
lost
take
parking
that,
there.
yeah. Well, people will have to walk farther, but
Yeah.
that's what
It's-
they'll have to do.
It's a nice walk.
Otherwise, right now, they're parking down just on, where you turn in to go to the back of the school. There's that grass section.
Yes.
A lot of them park on the east side of the road there and utilize that, and then also the other side.
Yeah.
They'll pull in, but
And it sounds like, for DPW, it sounds like we should be discouraging parking on.
You know, or something right away.
yeah, we used to, when we'd have tournaments and that, we would mark that off with police tape, so Mike was talking about, it would all get torn up and then they wouldn't be able to mow the dirt. But it's that trail goes to the dirt. But it's that trail does drop off pretty good, elevation wise.
Jolene?
What I think is really powerful is something that people are really desiring. And this project really does utilize a beautiful space in this community to the more mature folks in the community. And so I think this really goes a long way if we as a city say that this is what we're about. We're spaces where that brings community together. For me, this is a really proud moment to be able to work on this with all of you here at the city. Starting this right now by giving our sort of weight behind it tonight. It sounds like there's some details that obviously are still going to need to be worked out, but that Adam is going to bring that back to us for improvements at this park and perhaps other parks. So I really like where this is going.
And you're exactly correct. If we have to bid things out, there's agreements being made with organizations. If we will bring those things back, at this point, we need to kind of commit to a portion and senior center portion of this, keep that moving forward. The other stuff can all kind of come and play with that, but just getting the council's blessing and here's what we're gonna do. We've bought in. So obviously there's more work to be done, but
What else do you need
yeah.
besides
So
that?
what I would be looking for is the commitment of location C being the location of 3,600 square feet, and then generally speaking, approving the general overall park plan and approving kind of the general budget of around, at the end of the day, 2 point, the numbers will come out one way or the other when we bid it out, but by buying into it, we kind of have an idea of the general amount of money. Target amount for the project for just the senior center is $2,060,000. For everything else, we're looking at around 2 point.
For the motion to include that target of the amenities as well.
So just kind
work
of
with
looking
it,
at the full
and
scope
you can
of
call it a
everything.
target, as opposed to locking yourself in.
The senior center thing over the next month. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it is a lot, but I think it all fits and it all works and it has to be, I think it really makes sense to try to do this all in once and commit to it so we can start. And, it might be a little bit more money, but sometimes a little bit more money means doing it right. And I think this gets us as a concept and a plan and the general budget as presented to be recommended for approval as a guideline moving forward.
And the project funding to be 2.27 million.
As a target.
More, it could be a little
Adding
less.
something
Yep.
to it.
Yep.
that You can say, okay.
And the general project plan, sorry.
And to include the other.
General comprehensive.
And I'll second that.
Discussion.
And just for the record, I just want to ask the council that the entity that the city of Ripon supports, again, Maureen, so I don't screw it up, what is the name?
Ripon Senior Activity Center.
The word activity, because I think that will help us pull this together with the county and with other resources that may be available. Thank you.
Jim?
Maybe to Lud, the point of putting the dollar amount into the bid versus submitting something to RFP or submitting something for a bid. I just don't see the point of the dollar amount being in there. Sorry.
Well, I think it's important because it tells the community, and that's why the target is the big number, is that we get there, and Adam threw out, options to fund this project. But you're saying to the community, it's going to be a senior center without the activity. And it's not just going to be limited to connecting a trailhead here or take into consideration the disc golf. It's going to take into consideration improvements to the ball fields. That's why I used the word target. And I think in the community, I think you're getting that synergy that I think to in this presentation. Without it, I think you could always say, well, we may not spend all that. But if you call it a target, okay, we look, and that's the last clause, which was, and the comprehensive plan for the park. And so you can't get there without money. Really interested in this, but if you don't say we're ready to open the pocketbook and we have some funding sources that we didn't have when this whole thing came together, after we went through the one idea for the Mitchell money and that kind of changed course, and the rescue funds certainly open a door. If the common council is pushed against the wall to say, how are we going to get there? You're going to have some rescue funds to designate. Get pressed on other issues in the community, which I appreciate, Jim. I appreciate why you're asking the question. But we're not saying we're going to spend it. We're going to target to spend it. Because
We're not holding ourselves to any one thing. There's plenty of
any
options.
dollar you can pull
Yeah,
somehow.
there's
You
plenty
can
of
run the ball
options,
field.
plenty
You
of money.
can,
And everything will come back. So, I mean, have to decide is when the bid for the senior center, that's the first number, and when going through this. The rest are just sort of targets and goals moving up to that point. Bid it out and it comes back at way more than what we thought. Some of this other stuff then we'll have to consider to do or not do at that point, but everything will come back. This line to work within and helps us show, like Lud had mentioned, I think some of the other people that could be involved in this that we.
My contention was that we haven't said how we're going to fund it, yet we're saying we're going to spend this amount of money. To me, that's like somebody telling me they bought a car and then they're asking me now for a loan.
that includes the comprehensive. You're not locking into any dollar this year.
Because we haven't said how we're going to fund it.
Correct. And
that
Adam
worries
has showed
me.
you possible and say, oh, I'll figure it out somehow.
No, I know
He gave you some numbers, which we obviously in the past maybe haven't always seen.
Get the money out.
Exactly. And the different
It's a
pots are.
different scenario now with all the different pots we can now pull those
Absolutely,
proceeds out.
absolutely, rather than borrowing the whole thing and hoping the money comes in. It doesn't say you're gonna spend $2 million on senior center, $250 on the ball diamonds and, $50 on trailhead there.
Right.
That's gonna be a moving, bringing it back to the common council.
Yep.
Here's a bid. Do you wanna do pavement? Do you wanna do pea gravel? Do you wanna do, the complete redo? Surface? The parking lot, are we gonna widen it now or are we gonna widen it later? All those things are yet to be determined.
Yeah, we're still on estimated cost. Exactly what everything's gonna cost yet, which is
So
why
I think
we're
you cover
doing it
yourself,
like
Jim,
this.
and I know what you're saying, is that too often you say, okay, we're gonna do this, and we don't know where the money's coming from. City administrator has given you a little bit more.
I just would like to see more of the word conceptual in motion and stuff, because that's really where we're at. No, trailhead's really gonna be, we don't know. These are a lot of schematics of possibilities. So, I mean, again, to your point, you said too, is conceptual.
Yeah. And so just to be clear too, the previous workshop with the schematic design, like this thing is, the building and all that is going to change dramatically. I mean, schematic design really is getting into some of the finer details of what it is. So, you know, if MSA and Carter are given the go-ahead to locate it here with this general outlay of things, I don't envision in August or review something, it's going to be very different than what we've seen before. It's just, yeah.
And we'll be talking 2022. Talking with the CIP funds and what we can actually really do with those versus if we use all those funds up in 1 year, if we're gonna do it over 5 years.
Yeah, and it may not. So, I mean, if next year is the fire truck, if we got to buy something big, I think we're prepared to mention construction financing. So just financing it and then refunding it later on. So you know, there's a bit for next year's budget with this, but the idea of funding it and, you know, not all at once in the capital improvement plan is to not push.
1 more year of wear, 1 more year of tear, 1 more year of putting it behind.
Yeah, we, you know, trying to still get roads done, other equipment purchased, things of that nature.
Further discussion?
Okay, maybe I'll just add. Myself walking around at Murray Park to actually see my own eyes the location, and once you're out there, it makes so much sense. Location C, this to the best of space that's possible for designing this. So I also want to say, as did my fellow colleague, that all of the people that are in favor of this project in location C.
This project will probably be the last major project that's done in Murray Park for many years to come. In the addition of adding senior/Mitchell facility, because there isn't a lot of land left up there if you get a chance to go up and walk around. There isn't a lot, so this will probably be the last major thing to go into that park. The rest down the years will be for upkeep. So this is a good project, and there's some things that can be tweaked on it to make it a reality. But I feel our first and most the Mitchell Senior Activity Center part of this project, and hopefully we're able to do everything else if the ducks all 3-4 years down the line to get the rest of it done. But the main thing is the center to focus on.
Any further discussion?
Do you have that?
If you'd like to read the motion back to us.
To approve location of option C and project of $2,227,000, and to approve the comprehensive plan of the park.
In there, Lud had requested that.
Oh, Lud doesn't want his
Oh,
name
the
in there.
activity center.
Not your name.
Not for me. For those 65 and older.
You got it? Yep.
Yep. All right.
There you go, thank you.
Any further on discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the aforementioned motion, say aye.
Aye.
Very good.
Thank you. We'll continue to work on the project. We'll schedule a public meeting likely for August now instead of July, just because I appreciate it.
Howie's drawing was better.
All right. Project updates and staff reports. DPW?
I actually do have something.
All right.
I guess we're not quite done with parks. I want to talk a little bit about Horner Park update. So you guys have seen some of the restoration done on the dam side and revealed some erosion onto the mounding that was there, plus the implementation of the swings that have been put in there. Those have been received pretty well. So one thing we talked about on Horner Park was taking out the sidewalk that angled down, an open canvas to develop that park. Adam and I and John and Brett we all talked about that, I think, in the parks. And so pavement cutting and things like that, and some parking availability. So there's a park that we can future as so desired. I think the other key is that needs to come out now is that the city has reached an agreement to close, turn that over to the property owners to the east. And you'll probably see that start to occur over the next couple of weeks, sooner than later, depending on the weather. So that will be closed permanently, and it will become private property. And we will, so that word gets out there. And I thought it was important to get that out there. I don't know if you remember last year, in August is typically our manhole street work stuff ramps up a little bit. Last year we focused on protruding manholes. You know, a problem with vehicles obviously, but more dangerous to our snowplow drivers. As you hit those, it jolts them pretty good. It wakes them up pretty good. So, you know, we've done a lot of those last year. This year it's our sinking ones. So you're seeing some things done on that throughout the city here. Getting those completed with some new materials and to speed up that process that is pretty amazing on the stuff out there. We'll also be doing the catch basins that are failing throughout the city. And then over the course of the next month or so, we'll start working on West 23 here with the heaving. Some of these areas will go down to one lane. We will try to post that, working with PD on their, people kind of know what's going on there. There's one main manhole in Oshkosh that I hit every time. That will go down to 2 lanes there. Turn that around with the new stuff that we have in one day and completely have it paved and back up. About 20 plus years old. Today we were awarded a $200,000 grant to bring that up to speed. The city's cost will be 10% of that. So in 2023 we'll execute that plan to bring that up, and it's got countdown timers and for walking across and a hand and some of the new features that are out there. So that was exciting with the help of TAPCO and Ripon Electric and MSA. We were able to compile that all together and be awarded that in the next couple of years. What?
Super cool. I have a question.
Yes.
There's a calendar mix-up over
Yep.
4th of July. July weekend?
Yep.
Weekend,
So-
has that been corrected now and everything okay?
I believe the calendar on the website, this was, from what I understand, the city was provided a calendar of pickups from Advanced Disposal. In the meantime, and Waste Management runs theirs different than Advanced Disposal, and we didn't have any information on that. So anybody that's will stop to pick them up on their next pickup. That should be all corrected.
I just had quite a few phone calls about it. So.
Yep.
Thank you, Mike.
I have a question about what you just said. People can put out more bags,
Yeah,
but we're not really.
if they're overloaded, whatever, put them in a bag, side, and the driver will probably get out and pick it up.
This is for recycling?
Recycling only.
But now, just to be clarifying, so we don't confuse anything, recycling needs to be in the bin open. You're not supposed to have tied bags.
They're
It
gonna
needs-
get out and get it for this one time. The one that,
But for those that might be listening, if you're putting something in the container, right, it's not supposed to be in a bag.
correct,
Okay.
yeah.
And then kind of follow up, and again, congratulations, as Jim just said, on that grant. It's fantastic. And a question about Selfridge Park. I had some people contact me that they enjoyed on the north side, correct?
So there's two swings. There's a swing in Murray Park. The beams on it finally gave way and was broken. We had to remove that whole deal. And I believe it's the same thing. There were issues with that. We have to pull that out. Now we have to build the frames, which we'll do over the winter, and we'll replace those with heavier frames next year. There's a plan, yes.
Thank you.
And that's what you did down at the dam site? for
That is
the
correct,
pre-built,
and
so
those are
they did
heavier
that.
frames, they're gonna hold up better, a lot longer.
Mike, I just want to turn around and have you pass on to your guys their thanks for the work they did at Horner Park. Coming in now.
Yep.
I drive by there every day, and it's nice to see a lot of people out and about in that area. They're parked on both sides, and, you know, they're just,
More, and that's where that blank canvas comes in that Adam, talks about, where we can now develop park. I think Adam brought up a great idea is having a walkway along that water's edge. And rescue funds. So there are some plans coming out for these parks to really improve these a lot. And if you have any parks ideas or anything, we're going to talk about capital in the next Park and Rec meeting. You can get them to Howard or myself, and it'll be a place for discussion to attempt to get some capital for the parks.
When Adam had his interview for us at the city, that there was in your last city, I think, an idea of having a hammock park. Anyways, that would be that.
I just wanted to say I noticed the social media communication about the recycling mix-up. I know that's been kind of a newer venture.
Yeah, so,
I thought that was
it's the fastest way to get things bad and to correct and what we're doing to work at it. And Lisa did a great job on that. Now the public work changed to the city Facebook, so Adam has control of that. Lisa has
great
control.
No, it's shared.
Any complaints?
Well, then compliments go your way. I'll save complaints for them.
I keep my hands out of it, but those two do a great job on it.
Well, it seemed like it was
It's a surprise to us.
Yeah, but I think it was a great way to get the message out there quickly and to a lot of people. So.
Yep.
Thank you, Mike. Anything more for EMS? Nope. Nope. PD? Nope. All right, Adam.
Your packets, if you want to read through that, if you have any questions about anything on that, I'd be happy to answer. Biggest things there, I would say, we've sort of finalized our lead service line replacement program, so the RFQ for plumber and utility contracts will be set to go out in the coming, just finalize that funding. Part of the reason there's been a delay there was the note above that one where we found out we did not qualify for funds due to a sanitary survey in 2019 by the DNR. All those issues have been addressed, and we're back on pace program for Vermont Parkway and the lead service line. Utility manager recruitment, we'll do some interviews in the coming week. On board in the coming, in a month or two, hopefully before Chris is. Other than that, there's some other stuff on there that's just been taking up time.
For me, I don't have any appointments. Just want to once again encourage everyone who has not been vaccinated to get vaccinated. The Delta variant for COVID-19 is in the state, and it is driving the state numbers up quickly. And it is certainly hitting communities that have low vaccination rates. Vaccines are safe, they're very effective, and they're readily available. If you have not been vaccinated yet, get the vaccination. Beyond that, stay healthy, happy, it's summer, get outside. Comments or future agenda items from council members?
I do have one. Oh, you go, sorry.
Jim, go ahead.
To Newberry Street being a drop-off for Barlow Park Elementary. Is there any, I know I've block as well as my observations with continued speeding and, you know, especially when people are running. Can that be marked as a school zone, or is there anything that can be done? I know it is summer, which means that school is.
Thank you, Paige. Jim?
Probably to Lud or maybe Adam for the filling Ben's position with Alderman Schrader being gone tonight. If we were going to be two of us gone, could we have met tonight?
If two of you would have been gone tonight,
No.
you would not been able to meet.
Okay, so
You
just
need
the point.
six, you need six.
So my point is obviously now with still losing one, make sure we're communicating with Adam for that.
And we have that coming up, correct? Filling the vacancy?
Yeah, so that wasn't part of it, but yes, we are still taking applications or interest letters.
Intended to be filled when? I thought we had that.
End of August?
Yeah,
August
end of
23rd?
August, but we need applicants.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you, Jim, that's important. Yeah, I kind of looked over too.
And that's.
You need six by
Karen's trying
state
to-
statute.
When we're emailing, so let us know, please.
Okay.
Just
Great.
a reminder.
You had any interest in that, Adam?
There's been discussions, but
Okay.
no formal applications.
Anyone else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I will motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Paige, second by adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned at 8:26.